Hello, and welcome to a bit of a special edition of Astromantics. I'm Lacey Wester. This is going to be on YouTube, so if you'd like to see me show the charts that I'll be talking about, you can head on over to YouTube, or you can listen to me here, and hopefully I'll remember to say degrees and stuff. So today, what I'm talking about is my personal twin flame experience. And this is a difficult subject to talk about for me in particular because I am a happily married woman, very happily married. My husband is incredible. He's an incredible human being. He's an incredible lover. He's an incredible person. We have been married for 20 years, together for 24. So, we've been together a minute. And I yet have a twin flame experience. So it's taken me a long time to talk about this. But I'd like to share with you how astrology really helped me to validate this twin flame experience. If you've listened to our show at all, Astromanics, then you'll know that we have guests on all the time and we validate their polyamorous experience. We validate their bisexual experience, their gender identity experience, right? We have lots of guests, and I look at charts all the time and can see why a person is the way that they are. And so I've decided to use my own charts to show you how I use astrology to see more deeply, a broader perspective, and more logically, more sort of it makes it easier than just feeling something. It's really nice to see something in the cosmos validating what you're experiencing in your life, and it then makes it less fearful when you talk about it. So what I'm going to do today is I will share my screen with you. I'll share my chart with you, and I'll give you tips along the way of how you can validate your own twin flame experience. I think you'll find this very helpful, very validating for you. So twin flame experience. So my husband and I had been married for I think 9 years when I met this other person, who I think of as a twin flame. Now, the twin flame is, to my understanding, a person that you meet who awakens you, a kundalini awakening, right? You become awakened somehow, like there's multiple levels of awareness that sort of happen when you meet this person. So I didn't know about the twin flame thing. I met this person in 2011, and nobody was talking about that I knew about at the time, twin flame stuff. I just thought something was wrong with me. I just thought I was having some kind of lustful experience, right? I just had the hots for this guy. I'm fortunate enough that I came home and I told my husband. It was hard to do, but I told him, I said, "Hey, babe, I totally have the hots for this guy that I see at the gym, basically." And he was like, "Oh my God, I have hots for a lot of people." And then that would start our sexual awakening, my husband and my sexual awakening, to being a little more into kinky stuff, right? A little bit more into swingery stuff, right? We would do a lot of things together, as spurred on, sort of initiated by this person. Now, this person and I didn't do anything, right? This person, who I call Johnny Dash, and that's the name I give to my twin flame. It is not their real name. um so if you're watching this and you're somebody that I have played with, you're somebody that I have, had a little sexy time fun with, because my husband and I are non-monogamous. If you do not associate with the name Johnny or Dash, it's not you. There's only one person who knows me and will be familiar with that name at all. So, uh, Johnny Dash is what I call this person. So I'm going to meet this person. I'm going to be like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Tell my husband. My husband's going to be like, oh, I have the hots for lots of people. And I'm like, okay. But then I have really strong hots for this person, Johnny Dash, right? There's like, I'm like nervous when I'm around him. I'm like, I feel stupid. I feel like dumb, well, automatically when I'm around him. And I feel pretty smart all the other times, you know? Um, and it's going to be, I'm going to write about him in my journals, and I'm going to be like, oh, we're going to get over him. Oh, we're going to get over him. Because even though my husband was like, oh, dude, let's figure this out, see if you can play with him. He was not allowed to play with me, right? Like he's not in that kind of a situation that I found myself in where I could explore all those things. He did not have that kind of freedom that I have. So I can't do anything, and he can't do anything. Yeah, so I'm gonna have this awakening. So it's gonna set me off on why this person, what is up with this? Why do I feel such a strong connection to somebody that I can't have, right? Now I've had those before in the past when I was like a kid, but like, you know, young teenager, but nothing like this, right? Like those were like 3 years, 5 years max that I would be like totally into a person and then they'd go away, you know, wouldn't be there anymore. So, yeah, I'm going to try and explain this experience through science, right? I'm going to read a bunch of books. Why am I having this strong connection to this person? So I'm going to read a bunch of books. I'm going to read Sex at Dawn. I'm going to read human sexuality textbooks. I think it's still a sexual thing, right? Mostly. Um, I'm looking at all these things, right, to try and validate my experience through, you know, science, through books, through psychological, right? I'm reading Esther Perel, you know, I'm sure, mating in captivity, right? I'm educating myself on why a person who may be super strongly sexually attracted, not just sexually, strongly attracted to another person. I'm looking into those things, right? And so I go, oh, it's just because when we're at the gym, I'm smelling his pheromones. So if I move away, then I should get over it, right? If I'm not smelling his pheromones anymore, I'm not around him all the time anymore, right? You're doing that, then those things should change. And they didn't. This person just kept sticking with me. So I was like, what the hell? And it was frustrating and painful or shameful. And I just wanted to keep it to myself, you know. I didn't talk about it with anyone. I didn't talk about the strong, sort of deeper struggles that I was having, even with my husband, because I kept thinking I was going to get over it. I kept thinking I would do like, oh, all I need to do is change my brain synapse. All I need to do is, when that person pops in my head, divert it to something else, right? Easy enough. And so I would have these little practices where I would be like, oh, okay, I'm going to think about this other thing, right? Or I would try and distract myself with other people, right? Here's a young sassy lady who can like go out and play with her husband in clubs, and we had a lot of fun, my husband and I. Right, I'm thinking, oh, you know, this is gonna maybe just liven up our sex life, kind of a thing, right? And it did, and it was awesome, and I discovered a lot, but still, there's this person in my head, in my brain, in my heart, always sort of around me. And I'm like, oh, what do I have to do to get rid of this person? So then I was like, okay, what is this, right? And then one day, Mary, my business partner, and she does astromanics with me, she gave me this book called by Channing Nichols called You Were Born for This. And I had started learning astrology a little bit in 2017. And she gave me this book in 2019. But when at first when she was like, oh, you should check out astrology, I was like, that's bullshit. Any intelligent person knows astrology isn't real, right? That's like vague, made up, whatever, right? I was like, that's all dumb. And then I started Googling myself. So I'm going to share with you my chart. So I began to know myself through astrology. That's where I started, right? So I'm going to share my screen. Now, this is what you'll find when you go on AstroDeus. Like, this is me. This is my chart. That's me. And these are all the degrees, right? The sun, moon. These are the sign symbols. These are the trines and conjunctions, right? Squares. That's what these all are. But this is me. And so if you were to sign on to Astrology, and maybe we made a video of how to look up your chart. Maybe if I put a little pointy sign like here and I scrub through and I see myself doing this, I'll put a card there or a link to our thing. Anyway, whenever I'll put, I don't know if that'll work. So this is me on Astrology, right? So I started Googling myself, what is a moon in Aries, right? Moon in Aries natal chart. So moon in Aries natal chart, moon in Aries natal chart, right? That's just like what I would put. And then it'll go to like, advanced astrology, which, I love. Cosmopolitan. I'm sure they got good stuff, right? Cafe Astrology was one that I really started with, this one, right? Because it gives you the moon, right? And then you can even look up your natal chart stuff here, right? Where's your moon sign? And then it says moon in Aries, right? So I'm gonna Google all of my stuff. You look at your chart, Google all of your shit, right? Google all of it. But yeah, back to here. So I've got a Sun and Mercury in Aquarius, 11th house. This means that I really care about humanity as a whole, and I care about causes, and I'm a little bit of a rebel for sure. But I care about humans, and I want to build bridges of communication between humans. I want to build effective social structures where we can understand each other. And I have found that in astrology. It makes me go, oh, let's say you have a sun in Gemini. That means we'll probably get along pretty well. It means we'll probably tire each other out pretty quick. So let's limit our exposure to each other. But let's, text online, right? Let's put together a puzzle, right? Putting together puzzles is like a thing that Geminis seem to love to do. Or watch a Disney movie. That's another thing Gemini sons tend to like to do. Anyway. So things like that, right? So I'm going to validate myself as I'm looking at my chart. I'm like, oh, okay, girl, you care a lot about social systems. You don't like doing things. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. We don't do, well, I can, but you can't, right? Like that's some bullshit in my mind. So I'm going to struggle with that. Aries, so we have an AC rising. You need this to have, your AC is your time of birth. So I happen to know mine. So I have AC, Siri, and the moon here in Aries. This makes me a rather impatient person. It also makes me a very bold person. It also means that I like to chase. I like to chase in romantic situations. That is real. And I also value friendship too. In all of my relationships, friendship is a big thing. Something else that okay, so looking at my chart, I'm like, damn girl, you have major extreme inner world feelings, right? We've got an opposition to Pluto in the 7th house of others, right? I'm like, okay, girl, you get strong feelings, strong obsessive feelings, in fact. But you also transform pretty quickly too. Like if something is not logical, Aquarius, and something is like outside, you can't win, then Aries will drop it. If Aries thinks it can't win, it will drop it. And it will transform as it does so, right? It's going to be like, oh, well, I can't do that. Well, why am I chasing that in the first place? Let me reflect and let me transform, let me change, right? Also, you'll notice I have a lot of Virgo energy here. 6th house, day to day. That means, damn, girl, you overthink everything. That's like that makes me have compassion for myself right there, where I go, oh shit, you have both malefics. So Saturn and Mars are the malefics. They're the planets that kind of give us beef, if you will, right? So Saturn's like, is it buildable? Did you look at all the fucking details? Is this long lasting? If not, get the fuck out, right? Mars, same thing, right? Is it worth going to war over? Is it worth chasing? right? What are the details of the situation? Is it worth it? Will you win, right? So that affords me some amount of, oh, hey, if I can't win with this person, I leave. And that's always been the case, except for this one, this twin flame. This one blew my mind. This one was like, what is going on, right? Why can't I know logically I can't win with this person. They're off limits. I know it's not going to make me feel good, right? So I'm like, damn, girl, just give it up. But why can't I just give it up? That question, right? I know also in my life that I've got a Venus here in Pisces. That means that, and it's in the 12th house, which means that I'm going to undo myself for love, if you will, right? Undo myself, maybe pining and longing. It also makes me a very pious person. It means that the stories of Jesus I love, right? I'm not a Christian. I grew up one for sure. But like when I think of unconditional love, I resonate with that hard, right? When I think of loving your enemies, that is Venus in the 12th house. She loves even her enemies, right? What is even an enemy, right? She loves them. And so, and it also in the 12th house means it's secret. I can't tell. It takes a while for things to dawn on me. Especially love things, relationship things, right? It also means that there's a little bit of like a telepathy to my love, right? To my, I can easily get in touch with source, with spirit. I'm naturally a very spiritual person. I'm naturally a person who's like, oh, what do you think, God? And God's like, bitch, I love you. And I'm like, I love you too, right? Like, it's natural, easy for me. Yeah, God cusses at me all the time. We talk to each other like sailors, and I know that might be offensive to some people. Whatever. Sorry. Okay, so this is the Astro Deist, right? So Google your shit. Google yourself. Google yourself. Google, right? Google where your sun is, where your moon is. Look up everything. Google everything, right? If I were going to Google this, I'd be like Sun Aquarius. Let's just show you. I'd be all sun in Aquarius, 11th house, right? Click. Ooh, with the sun in Aquarius in your 11th house, you're a paradox unto yourself. Yes, I am. Pulling off the astounding feat of being a hardcore individualist and the ultimate team player. Totally real. I am a bit of an alien unapologetically. And I am out there in my approach. Hello, who else approaches this shit with astrology, right? You and me, right? Okay. So now I'm going to switch over to Luna. So this is free software that you can look up. Anybody can look up. Anybody can look up their chart. Anybody can look up anybody else's chart. If you just have your birthday, where you were born, time of birth, place of birth, you need those things. If you don't have time of birth, that's fine, but then it's much easier to get more precise, more exact if you know your time of birth. Now I'm going to switch over to me. Hello. So I'm looking at the same thing. It's the same thing I just looked at, except for prettier. Hi. Same thing, right? But now I can see those degrees up here. And the other thing that I can do with my software is I can click and then it highlights, right? So Moon, try Neptune. This is why I have such an easy time connecting with spirit, is that right there. I have an easy time transcending, or an easy time being like, yeah, but, right? Now, Jupiter here, Jupiter is beliefs that we know about. It means that if I can't suss out the details of a beliefs, I can get like too picky with belief systems, if you will. All right. So that's me. So the thing I wanted to point out here too is my rising sign is right here, which makes this anti-vertex and this Eros. So Eros is Cupid's bow. It's what we feel super turned on by, right? It's like, oh my God, I find this Aries best of all, right? My Eros is in my first house, which makes me magnetic and erotic naturally. Lucky us all. But it also, because it's above my AC, it means it's also kind of in this 12th house. I use whole sign houses. I'm not going to tell you about all that, but that's what I'm using, whole sign. Most people use Placidus. Mine's whole sign. But I know that so there's something that turns me on about secret love here, right? Venus and Pisces, secret, telepathic, psychic, uh, more than words, right? Like music. So Pisces is the sign of music. So when you listen to music and you're like, oh shit, that touches me so hard. That's my Venus right there. And she gets touched by spiritual things, right? Spiritual vibes, by being super duper loving. She gets turned on by that. And secrets. She gets turned on by spiritual, pious people who can't talk about it or say anything about it, right? She does like secrets. That's a thing there, right? And so a way that I combat this or mitigate this is by literally divulging myself out to you to be of service in this way. I'm going to show you my obsession and undo myself in doing that. We've got DC here. So DC is other. First house is ego. These are angular houses. So first house is self. Seventh house is other. It's what we project onto other people. And it's sometimes how people see us. And then the other angular houses are the 10th house, that's public, career, midheaven, and then there's the 4th house, which is like deep, private, roots, family, home foundations. It's the part that I don't really want everyone to see. 8th house is a little bit like that too. You don't really want everybody in the whole vlogging world to see it, and kind of wherever Scorpio is in your chart, you don't want everyone to know about your life there. All right, but see, I've got a DC. So the DC is a committed partnership. It's an exchange of finances, right? So people who you live with, that you share finances with, these are your committed partnerships, right? So I've got DC, and then I've got something called a vertex here. See, 2 degrees vertex. This means that this is a fated romantic relationship. This means, and I would say this, this means that in my life, I'm going to experience being married and also having some strong, fated 7th house, romantic, strong pull towards another, right? And it's somewhere in that 12th house there too, a little bit. So it's not going to be exactly clear to me. I'm going to struggle with it, right? That's what that is showing me there. So that's me. Now we're going to look at Johnny Dash's chart. Again, not real name. Yeah. So this is Johnny Dash's chart. You could just see the name. So you would have nobody would be able to find out who this is. I'm very protective of this person. All right. So Mr. Dash here has a rising of 13 degrees and a north node and Uranus here. This means that this person likes to kind of be surprising or shocking wherever they show up. But they also keep a straight face, right? This person is not going to emote or show you anything that they don't want you to see, right? Scorpio is the scorpion, right? If it's going to show you anything, it's going to come out guarded and protected, right? Like it does not divulge its stuff easily at all, right? So this is a private person. This person's going to keep especially their emotions, their attractions, really close to themselves. We see here this angular house here, we've got Venus and Mercury, right? This person probably doesn't like to be online a whole lot. You know, you're not going to see a whole lot of them online. 4th house, private, along with that Scorpio there. This person is going to have a value for their roots, family, home, and foundation, and they're going to seek to understand other people, other social communities via where a person comes from. So that's a thing too. This person will also decorate their home in so Aquarius is quirky, unconventional, a little bit rebellious, right? So they'll have things in their home that most people don't have in their home, right? Like whatever is unique to them, right? That's what they will have. This person has an Eros and a Sun in Pisces in the fifth house. So the fifth house has to do with sex for fun, sex for pleasure, romantic affairs, and children and creativity. It's across from our 11th house of friends over here. Yeah, so this person, their son, something that they would like to do is maybe they might like to teach children, right? If I saw this on anybody's chart, I'd say, oh, have you ever taught children? Do you like teaching children? You have an affinity for children, would be the thing I would think there. At least being seen with children. And then something about them, they're probably very flirtatious. They're attractive to a lot of people, right? A lot of people will find them attractive. This person will definitely be into music and animals in some way, as per Pisces is. And this person will express themselves creatively then, for sure, in some kind of musical way. Or that's how they tap into it. We've got a Moon Neptune conjunction here. This all so Pisces is ruled by Jupiter in ancient astrology. In modern astrology, it's ruled by Neptune. So I kind of give both those overlays a little bit, but this person is a Jupiter heavy person, right? Beliefs matter a lot to this person because we've got Neptune. That's kind of a planet of faith. It's a planet of transcendence. It's a planet of fantasy, and people will call it delusion too, but I don't know that it's so much delusion as it is. I feel like I'm transcending. I'm connecting with source, spirit, God, right? That's how Neptune and Neptune blurs the lines, the hard boundaries between you and me. And it goes, but this is what we have in common, right? Like it kind of wants to do that. It also means when Moon and Neptune are close together that sometimes the native, it is said, so Johnny Dash will have a difficult time separating himself from like where his mother, like he will want to respect her and love her, right? But doesn't quite know where she ends and he begins, right? Like, so women in his life are a heavy influence on him. And I can see that too with this Saturn in Cancer. Older women are going to inform his spiritual beliefs and his life purpose, right? So that's a little bit about this person. There's a lot more I could say because I've looked at this chart many, many times. But let's see now how we affect each other. So now I'm going to switch over to a synastry chart. And that is here. All right. Yeah, so that's my information. Okay, so Johnny Dash is in the middle and I'm on the outside. And when you're doing synastry, you're seeing which planets fall into whose houses, right? What does that mean? How is that felt? All that stuff. Now, we have something called a bit of a double whammy. So you'll notice my sun in Aquarius at 2 degrees is conjunct his lot of fortune. So how he finds success in the world. It's conjunct his Venus at 4 degrees. And his Venus is conjunct my Mercury also in Aquarius at 4 degrees. And his Mercury is in Aquarius at 4 degrees in his 4th house. So this is a very private house. Sometimes a person who has a sun may, or anytime a person has a sun shining into another's 4th house, it makes the 4th house person feel very protective of the sun person. They care deeply for them, and maybe inexplicably why, but they will care very deeply for them. This person would care very deeply for me, even if they don't say it. That is what is felt. And I know this because I've done so many charts and so many synastry charts that when I see this, somebody's house or somebody's sun falling into somebody's 4th house, time and time again, that's what it means. So I know even without, right, even in silence, right, or separation period of the twin flame, right, even in that situation period, I know that that's how this person feels. This person feels protective of me. This person also admires me, right? Admires my conviction and my consciousness, or like the very things that I talk about, this person respects and is probably blown away by a little bit. And then I have the same thing. So my sun and this person's Venus, there's an adoration here, right? There is a respect here. There is an attraction here also, implicit. Now, this can be a friendship attraction because, well, it's in the sign of Aquarius, which is friendship, but that's what these two want, is friendship first, paramount, right? But it just because you have a sun and a Venus conjunct together in the same sign, close, like this, doesn't necessarily mean romantic attraction. There's other things in the charts that I'll point out that are more of that sort of sexual or romantic attraction, but Venus contacts are pretty romantic. And then over here, my Venus is next to this dude's sun and Eros, right? I definitely turn this person on with just being me, right? Like that's a kind of rad. It's a good thing to know. So my sun is in what's called a detriment, but it's in the 11th house, so I get a little bit of a boost. So I don't have the strongest sun in the world, which just means, yeah. This Venus, though, isn't super strong, but she's pretty strong. So there's a strong attraction here. Now, this Venus in Pisces is in the sign of exaltation, right? And she's in the 12th house, which also gives her an even more of a boost, like a spiritual telepathic boost. And she's shining into his 5th house, and Venus has dignity in the 5th house because she's creating children, right? She's creating romance and love affairs. This person very likely puts me on a pedestal, probably feels very intimidated by me, actually, because Aries can be a very intimidating sign. And I think he's got, well, I don't have it here, but I know he's got Black Moon Lilith. So Black Moon Lilith in a man's chart can show what they want in a mistress, but then also what they're intimidated by. So I'm intimidating to this person. All right. So yeah, we've got some strong, that's a double whammy though. Venus, Sun contacts, right? And Eros is there. Eros is irresistible, right? This is my 9th house here. This is another way that I know that this person probably puts me on a pedestal or sees me as almost not able to do wrong in some ways. They themselves will feel it. Other people may tell different, but they know it. Because the charts don't lie. His moon is falling into my 9th house. And when that happens, again, what you have is someone being in awe of it's like his inner world is standing in my love temple and is like, oh my God, I want to spend time in this love temple, kind of a thing. And that is how other people have described this moon in the 9th house feeling. So I know that it's the same for this person, right? Very similar. Juno here in the 11th house with my Jupiter, Mars, and Saturn. This person will feel like he would have to separate from his community though to be with me. That's strong here. That's strong here. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, dude. But then we have the Queen of Heaven and the King of Heaven here, right? Juno, which is the goddess of marriage, with Jupiter, her consort. So this person also is aware that they could see something, a very successful union with me. Let's talk about so Saturn. So my IC is right conjunct his vertex here, right? So that's angular. I feel this deeply. I feel this vertex deeply here, right? Like from my end, I know that it's private and that it's a very strong house and it feels karmic. Karmic is a word that people will use. It feels like familiar, super familiar when somebody's planets fall into your 4th house. And so vertex is that faded romance. And so this person for sure feels it with my IC 3 degrees Cancer and my vertex of 1 degree Cancer. We've got a Saturn that would be falling into my IC. That means that this person would have fears around blending families, right? My family. This person would feel like they would have strong fears around that they wouldn't be accepted by my family and that I wouldn't be accepted by their family. When you have a Saturn falling into a person's 4th house, especially a Saturn in Cancer family, right? But it also gives a deja vu feeling. It also gives a life purpose, because Saturn represents life purpose. So it gives a very, but something about my life purpose is mixed in with this person. So this person feels a strong thing there. Now I'm going to point out a very potent sexual thing here. My Pluto's here in his 12th house. So telepathic, strong telepathic stuff. My Pluto is in trine to his Mars. So his Mars is Gemini, 20 degrees, and it's in his 8th house. This person has kind of a difficult time merging in the way that he probably hears the ways that other couples do, right? Mars likes to sever, and Mars in Gemini likes to fight with words. So when this person is feeling maybe close to another, if their feelings are hurt, they might cut with their words. But Mars is the planet of how we pursue sex. So this person pursues sex when they feel like they're in a safe, intimate relationship with someone. That's when they feel best pursuing sex. And then in this trine, so Mars 20 degrees, my Pluto 21 degrees, that is a powerful, obsessive, I'm the Pluto person, powerful, obsessive, sexual thoughts of this person here. And that goes both ways, sugar, right here. So I know that for certain, there is a really, 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 really strong felt sexual connection here. It's also another sign of intimidation, right? So Mars can feel intimidated by Pluto because Pluto was like, I'm in control, bitch, right? Like, I know what's up. And Mars is like, I don't know if I want to take action on that, but I want to take action on that. All right. So that is this person here. Let's see what else. Oh, nodes. Okay, so this is important. So this person, Johnny Dash's North node, falls into my 8th house. North nodes falling into the other person's house mean that that's the area of life that person is going to heavily affect. Johnny Dash's North node of his 1st house falls into my 8th house of sexual merging, right? Joint ventures, of deeply felt obsessive. The shadow sides are obsession, controlling. The light sides are, oh, damn, I feel this so hard that I've got to align with spirit, with God, in order to see this better, to not see this as such a shadowy thing. So this person is going to profoundly change the way I think about sex with my husband, my own sexual life, my own sexual self, right? I'm going to be changed profoundly by this person. My North node here of Leo falls into his 10th house. I'm going to profoundly change his legacy, change his career. Because he knows me, his career is going to be heavily changed because he knows me, right? It's just the being in the presence of the other person, or not even being in the presence of. I don't even live near this person, But yeah, so that's kind of like a quick peek, right? So we've got some heavy romance or heavy attraction here. Venus, Sun, Mercury, Venus, right? Venus 4 degrees, Mercury 4 degrees. This person is going to like everything I have to say. This also makes for like friends forever too, kind of a thing. Like there will always be amiable. There will always be forgiveness between the two of us. Like no matter what, they could be like all, oh my God, I slept with so many people. And I could be like, me too. But yet you're still heavy in my brain. You're still important, right? All right. And there's a lot more to say, but okay, cool. So now I'm going to combine this. Now we're going to look at the composite chart. Now the composite chart is, it's going to take this, it's going to take Johnny Dash's chart and my chart, and it's going to merge them together, and it's going to show us a composite chart. It just it equalizes the points out, right? A composite chart talks about the relationship itself. A composite chart can tell us who feels the relationship more too, right? A composite chart can show us that. So, yeah. Let's show the composite chart. And here we are. All right. So you'll notice this gigantic, what's called a stellium here. It's in the second house. This AC here is later in the rising. So these also in like Coke houses, Placidus houses, these fall up into the first house also, right? Yeah. So first house is the self. This is the relationship of the couple. Any planets that fall into this first house are deeply felt, or the ruler. Look to where the ruler is for how things are felt. And the ruler is Saturn. It's the ruler of Capricorn here. So the ruler is over here in the 8th house of merging, intense feelings, intense bonding, right? So we both for sure feel this intense bond somehow. Mercury is here again in Aquarius, anti-vertex, second other, right? Fated romance, right, is here. That's sun and moon. So we have the sun at 18 degrees of Aquarius and the moon at 18 degrees of Aquarius. This is your consciousness and your inner world literally merged together in 1 degree. This is what is called a divine union. And this right here is what helped me to understand why I couldn't get rid of this person, right? Why I can't just write him away, why I can't just reason him away, why I can't just distract myself with others away. And it is because there is a divine union. There is something more than me, and there's something more than him putting this shit together. Venus is also there, right? Conjunction, 21 degrees of Aquarius. Now, it does mean, though, that there will be some sort of felt separation because Saturn is a binding planet, right? It binds. Saturn also rules Aquarius, as does Uranus in modern, right? And it's in the 11th house, right? So that we have there's a deeply felt sexual bond, even though we haven't penetrated each other or anything. There is a bond here. Excuse me. And Venus is here, literally the goddess of love, communication, fated other. I mean, my God, I'm looking at this going, if somebody came to me with this, I'd be like, damn girl, of course you feel this shit. And I'd be able to tell them, hey, your person feels this shit too, strongly. Now, one will feel it more than the other, though, right? Because there's extremes here. So again, Saturn and Mars are malefics. They give us guff, right? And they are in the 8th house. So this could be a sign that maybe we'll never merge together, like our assets, right? Or anything like that. That could be what this is. But then Juno, literally the goddess of love and marriage, is here with vertex, right? So something's going on here. But what I see here is, oh shit, there's a tight bond, a deep bond, a bond that might take a long time to get there or get over or, get over, whatever. We've got Jupiter here. So Jupiter is the planet of wealth. It's the planet of children. And it is exalted in the 7th house here with that DC. So this is also another indicator of strong nurturing and caring for each other, right? Strong, maybe strongest. So there's a strong indication here of that. And yeah. 4th house. So now we're gonna look at the angles. Angles matter in a composite chart. So this AC here is important. So planets that are around here are important, right? So yeah. And then DC over here is another angle. So when I go in the future to show you, I'll put my chart over the top of the composite chart so that we can see how I'm affected by this relationship. And then we'll do another one where we show Johnny Dash's chart over the top so you can see how he's affected, right? Because one is definitely more stronger than the other. But because this is in the 2nd house, we both value this relationship heavily, right? We will both heavily value it. We will both see it as a means of making money, right? It's going to influence how we make money. It's going to influence what we find valuable. Yeah, we have North Node here, so I always pay attention to the nodes too. North nodes is like karma. It's telling us, it's also can be an indicator of future life and past life. So South node is past lives, and it's in the 4th house. We could have been together in a past life, is what this could be an indicator of, which could also explain why it's felt strongly. North node is in the Libra is all about building bridges, making amends, supporting each other in the way that the other person wants to be supported. So not in a way that tears them down or makes them feel like shit, but in a way that makes them feel good about themselves, right? So to do anything other than that is not great. Okay. Oh, something else I want to point out here too is that this Neptune is in the 12th house. Neptune is the planet of transcendence and telepathy. It's that planet of merging, right? And it is in a sextile, a flowing aspect to that sun and moon. I believe that I think this is what that telepathic connection is, right? In the twin flame experience. I think that we are speaking telepathically sometimes. That is what I think, right? And it's going right up over to this Juno too. Again, that asteroid in that 8th house of bondedness. That's what I think is happening. I do. Especially because those who have experienced the twin flame experience, you'll be like, oh, whoa. Like all of a sudden you'll just be overcome with like heavy thoughts of them. And you'll just be like, oh, what the fuck? And it's almost arresting to me. Anyway, that's kind of how it feels. And it'll just come out of nowhere. And I think that that's what's going on in those times. All right, so now we're going to look at my chart. I think this one's my chart to his chart. Yes. Really quick though, I want to check another thing because I want to make sure. Yeah. I just want to make sure all the information is where I want it to be. Okay. Alrighty. Now I'll share my screen again. Thank you. Boop. All right, this is me. This is where we just were. Oh, this is my stuff again though. Okay, well then before I click on his, I'll click off and then I'll click on again. All right, so the inside is our composite chart. The outside is me. Here we have the angles. I'm going to look at the angles and I'm going to look at what planets of mine are aspecting those angles because those are points of feltness. So we can see my sun is pretty close to that AC there. My Mercury, right? The way I process things is really close to that. It's also really close to that Mercury. Hello, she's also extremely aware of all of this stuff going on over here. And again, we have South Node here. There's something past lifey about this. All right. So my sun is close to that angle here. IC is 26 degrees of Aries. My moon's 22 degrees of Aries. That is my sun and my moon. That means that I personally am going to be heavily affected. My self-development is going to be totally changed by this relationship, right? By this connection, which it is. I learned astrology this deep to help others and help myself understand what the hell was going on. And so I am heavily affected, and I must own that, right? So now if I look at the composite chart and I see that his planets aren't the same, right? Or they're not as personal as mine, then I have to be okay with maybe him not being as affected, right? Or affected in different ways in the way that I'm going to be affected. But yes, this is profound, and it's profound change right here too, because the MC, that midheaven, another angular house right here, has Pluto right up on it. That is profound, painful change, right? That is dealing with the shadow side of trying to control it, and then accepting that it's not controllable. It's something that's happening. Yeah, so I am one, and my IC 3 degrees Cancer is right on that composite Jupiter. That's a magnet, right? That is like, oh my God, so benefic. Like I can't not see it as amazing, right? This as amazing and feeling drawn to it, right? So those are some angles for me, right? Hello, Lacey's moon, her sun, her IC, right? Her Pluto. I got to let go of control profoundly, is what this is saying. And I've got to really be down with the process. I can't change it. I can't control it. I've just got to be down with it, right? All right, now I'm gonna do the stop sharing again. Okay, cool. So it didn't change it. Okay, good. All right, share my screen. Now I'm gonna show. So this is Mr. Dash. Okay. So to this AC, they say that when a person's sun, like mine is close to the ascendant of the composite chart, that person, that relationship is felt intensely. And it says also if the sun or if Venus is there, that the people feel it intensely. Hello. This is 4 degrees Aquarius, really close to that AC Capricorn 24. This is a very felt. This person feels it, even if they don't say it. There is a deeply felt thing happening here. And look at this. This person's angle, I see, right? That private place, that karmic place, that place of roots, family, home, foundations, that place of like familiarity, that place of I want to make a home, right? Is 19 degrees of Aquarius conjunct that sun moon 18 degrees of Aquarius. That's a heavy, that person would heavily associate almost a part of their root being as wanting to be in connection, right? Like that's kind of what that screams. That's what I would say to any other couple who came to me and showed me this shit. I'd be all, oh, so you feel this, huh? You can't wait to make a home with this person, right? Like you wish that you could be around this person all the time, right? And they would say yes. So I know that that's what this is, even if it's not been said. And I kind of love knowing that, right? Now, can I make anything happen about this? No, but man, do I love being able to see intangible, Virgoian, detailed messaging, right? That's what's up, right? Kind of rad, I think. Now, let's see, we've got Jupiter on the IC. So yes, again, this person feels this strongly, perhaps not as strongly as I feel it in that way, because Jupiter is really strong here, and it was my IC on that Jupiter. So Jupiter's like, oh, strong pull, right? This person's Jupiter is in Aries, and Jupiter likes being in Aries. It's not like a bad place or anything, right? But it's not as strong of a pull as that Jupiter has there. But you will notice that Jupiter 1 degree 7th house composite conjunct vertex, his vertex, 1 degree of Cancer, this person strongly feels a sense of faded luck, right? Faded romantic some shit luck. And Saturn on the descendant, right? There is a glue here. There is a glue that this person can't get away from. They want to. They have fears around it for sure. Oh God. And then yeah. Sorry. So the angles. Okay. Sorry. AC 24 Capricorn, right? Has a Venus there, has a Mercury there, a little bit farther away, has a lot of fortune there, so feels very successful, benefic about it, right? Got vertex, anti-vertex in that Capricorn too, so another faded, feels it, knows it in that first house there. Both are aware of value. Aquarius, though, it's a fixed sign, which means now it is ruled by Saturn, which gives it its own kind of a glue, but it also means a friendship. So it's first and foremost sort of a strong indicator of friendship, right? There's a strong friendship here. You both want the best for each other, is like basically what that's saying. Yeah, that sun is pretty close to our composite Venus. It's in another sign, 3, right? But yeah, it's like 8 degrees away, right? I don't know. Anyway, they're close. So what this tells me is that for sure, this person is also aware of this. They may not feel as strongly because remember, my sun and my moon were here. This person's Venus and their Jupiter is here, right? But that's not as personal as the sun and moon. So I've got to own that I may have a bit of a stronger feels, but then this person also has that IC 19 there. That's another strong angular feels. We are going to profoundly change each other's legacy, profoundly change the way we present ourselves in public, right? Profoundly change our relationships, right? It's a sign of Libra. It's going to help us to be able to fulfill our calling, our karma, our North Node, which is to build bridges between people, help people to understand themselves so they can be better people and partner with other people, right? Like, oh, hey, have you heard about this person? Oh my God. So that's going to happen. Yeah, so there's lots more to say. If you want my eyeballs on your chart, you're like, oh my God, Lacey, please look at my shit. I want to feel validated too. I want to be able to say, oh, hey, I'm in separation with this person. They're not talking to me. I'm ghosted. Pisces ghosts. That's what this person. Please help me to understand, right? Help me to see what you see. Validate me, right? Or validate my feelings. One, be down with whatever it is I say, because it could be more of a one-sided relationship. Like I myself have to own that I've got personal planets kind of closer to those angles, so I may feel it stronger, right? So be down for knowing that. But yeah, so if you want to find me, we are teamaquarius.com. I'm glad I'm already there. You'd think I look it up all the time. This is us. So teamaquarius.com takes you to this page. You're going to scroll down. First of all, do a birth chart reading because they're awesome, right? Where it says location reading and more, see that twin flame, soulmate, right? Sex astrology, click here. And then you're going to scroll down and you're going to find the one that you want to click. And so soulmate and twin flame reading with Lacey, and it's with Mary too. You're going to click book and you're going to come up with a time, right? You're going to do all the stuff that you want to do for this. This is if you want my eyeballs, if you want my Virgo detailed, awesome shit to look at your chart, your person's chart, and you want to walk away with a recording that you can listen to over and over again that says, yes, you're not crazy, right? Essentially. If you want that, then hit us up about that. You can, if you put your chart or you start asking questions in the comments, I'm down with whatever I can answer easily. But I Virgo out. I really look at the details, right? Really mine for that shit, right? And it's exhausting looking at so many details. I love doing it. It's my favorite thing in the whole world. What I'm saying is I kind of want to get paid for it. Anyway, I love you though. I love everyone, and I want everyone to know how to come to grips with this, right? Oh, something else that I didn't mention, but that North Node, right? Knowing those North Nodes and in partnership. So what you can do is you can know when you see your other person's chart, right? You can know kind of like how to pray for them, right? So for example, there was the North Node in Scorpio in Johnny Dash's chart, right? That means that that person is going to have to learn how to not do things the hard way all the time, right? They want to do things their way, which is sometimes the hard way. That person also is going to have to learn that things don't make you happy, people make you happy, and relationships make you happy, your spiritual life makes you happy, right? And something about sex, right? Because Scorpio rules the genitals. So this person is going to have to learn how to choose themselves and speak up about things that they want in those types of situations. So what this gives me an in for, so twin flame is a direct connection. What goes well for me goes well for them. My breakthroughs are their breakthroughs, right? And I noticed that it's not just me. My breakthroughs go to my family as well, right? Like I'll have a breakthrough and my children will be like, oh my God, they'll have a similar breakthrough. My husband, similar breakthrough, right? But what I like knowing about the twin flame connection is that means that you have a direct conduit, right? There's a direct route there. So when you look at their chart, you know exactly how to lift them up and support in your mind, right? So this is what I'll do sometimes. I'll picture sitting across from Johnny Dash, and I'll see my smile on his face. Like our smiles are smiling at each other. It's a weird thing. It's interesting. It's telepathic for sure. And then I read this book called The Lost Art of Compassion. And in it, you do this meditative practice where you breathe evenly, right? Get into a meditative state, breathing in and breathing out, right? And then I'll picture sitting across from him, and we're not interacting at all, but I'll picture a black cloud of suffering over him, right? Like whatever it is that I think he's suffering with, which you can tell in a chart, you know what they're suffering with, right? Like I know what this person suffers with just by looking at their chart, not even by looking up anything else. So I know then how to say, and so I'll imagine that black suffering, and then I'll like imagine like sucking it up and kind of taking it into myself through my chakras. And I imagine it going through like a cleansing process. And then when I exhale back like rainbows and unicorns and flowers and like all kinds of like, pretty fun, uplifting things, right? And it helps me to know that I'm taking on their suffering in some way, right? I will also uplift their karmic person because they're in a relationship. Another reason why it took me so long, 12 years. This has been going on for 12 years, right? So it's another reason why it's taken me so long to talk about this, because you just think you're gonna get over it. You just think it's gonna go away, and then it doesn't. So also by their partner also elevating and being uplifted and getting closer to spirit and God, right? The closer that they both get, the better it is for everyone, right? The end goal is awesomeness, right? The end goal is love. The end goal is compassion, right? The end goal is unity, right? You can't unify with somebody who you're feeling fucked up about, you unify with people who you have harmony with, right? So I'm wishing harmony. I'm wishing partnership. I'm wishing good conversation, right? I'm wishing good connection, right? the more I wish it on them, the more I wish it on my husband and myself, right? It was one thing to tell my husband, oh, hey, I have the hots for this person. It was another thing to tell him, hey, I think I have what is called a twin flame connection with another person. And that's deep felt love for another person. It was terrifying because I didn't want my husband to think that, something was wrong or that he wasn't good enough, right? All these things that you have in your head. But it was actually really relieving to tell him, I've been struggling with this for years, and to have him be like, oh my God, I'm so sad you've been struggling with this, and to come at me with, unconditional love, right? And that makes us closer together, right? And it doesn't negate the closeness of the twin flame. I think it would only make it awesomer, right? I only hope that this person can talk with his person, his soulmate. I hope that he can talk with her, and that will hopefully make their relationship deeper. Like, I'm okay with it not, coming together in this lifetime, right? I've come to a place where, one, I had to stop chasing. I was definitely the chaser. I felt convinced that if I could just text him, or if I could just be like, oh, this is what I meant by that, and just give more verbal, right? More Virgo words, details. So I thought, if I could just do that, if I could just Aquarius Virgo understand, right? Get him to do that, then everything would be cleared up, but it didn't work out that way, right? It just kept pushing that person farther away. So I'm happy to say, as a chaser, I've officially stopped chasing and trying to explain or, bring into any kind of unity. So I won't be, reaching out to this person, stuff like that, unless it doesn't matter. I'm not chasing, I'm not reaching, because it's not, because I know as per the thing, you got to stop doing that. So I've stopped. And I've talked to my husband about it, right? And we're in communication about it. And that's freeing and that's awesome. And I really hope that this video helps you in some way. I really, really do. I really, really love that validation. I really hope that you go to our website, sign up to be with us, let us validate you. All right. That's the it's thing. That's the T. Thanks. Bye.